Well, welcome everybody to our last official AMA before our beta begins. Really excited to have everyone tuning in. And for those of you who are listening to the recording of this, very glad that you chose to listen to our AMA to kind of hear the inside scoop on what is going on with Towers and Titans. We are joined today by our CEO, Incandenza. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to say it's really nice and refreshing to be working in community and have a CEO who likes to make time to be involved and keeps his finger on the pulse of everything that's going on. I've definitely been in studios where that wasn't the case, so it's really nice and refreshing that you managed to make time for us today, especially given the crunch that everyone is going through right now with trying to get the beta ready for everyone to enjoy. So again, thank you so much for making time for community. It really means a lot to us that you would come down and answer our questions.
Let me just say this. Thank you. You do such a good job for the community. Without the community, there's really no game. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you for everything you do. And
thanks.
And I think you started by just saying I get in everybody's business, but
no.
everybody does a great job. The team works really hard to make this game, and really excited to talk to y'all about what we're doing. So if you want to fire away, I'm happy to answer anything I can answer.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, let's start off with Marshall, who sent in some questions for us. He said, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. The first thing he'd like to ask is what brought about the project idea in the first place, the 3D tower defense, because we are kind of our own genre. We don't really fit cookie cutter into anything. We're a little bit of everything. So kind of what brought about this idea in the first place?
Depends how far back you want to go. So I love tower defense games, like, Plants vs. Zombies and all the classic tower defense games that came along in the early days of mobile. And when I was at EA, I was working on a game called Dragon Age Legends, which we built a social game with the BioWare team when they were doing the first version of Dragon Age. And I had this really cool group of students come in from Carnegie Mellon, and we worked together on a connected app as part of the Dragon Age Legends game, where you could take your heroes from Dragon Age and then play them in a tower defense setting on a mobile device. And it was super fun. The kids had a great time, learning coding and building that. And I thought the game was really super fun. And that's something I always had in my back of my head as something I wanted to build, which was a kind of a hero-based tower defense game. And then we made an Alliance hero collection game that was turn-based, and we wanted to find a new gameplay style so we could break out of the mold of all of those different, there's so many turn-based hero collection games, and we were like, what could we add to this genre? And it was pretty obvious that there was some cool stuff going on in tower defense with games like Arc Knights and Random Dice that have hit the market in the last few years. And they were driving a lot of innovation in tower defense. And we thought it was a good opportunity for someone in the Western world to bring a really cool fantasy hero collection tower defense game that brought the best elements of the PvE gameplay and the PvP gameplay to the fore. So, and then as for the 3D part, we have an amazing art team at Rumble, and it's just cool that mobile technology's gotten to the point where we can really let them shine. And we wanted to make the Titans feel super realistic and fantastic and be the showcase for the talented people that we have on the team.
I concur wholeheartedly. Our team is amazing, and the art team is not only super talented, but also really humble and super approachable. Some people from the art team actually post art in our community, so awesome answer. But let's move on to our next question. This is a huge question. I've been asked this question a million times across Twitter and Discord, and Crypto God writes in, and he says, what blockchain will this game be on? Are we at liberty to share that information now?
Well, eventually we want to be relatively agnostic to blockchains. So we are working with a partner on the back end to make that possible. So right now we're really testing the blockchain elements and making sure the gameplay is really good, that the experience between getting a Titan and it being minted on the blockchain is super smooth. And as we work with that partner to add more chains to the mix, we'll be rolling those out, and that's going to take a bit of time. And we want to make sure the gameplay experience is really good first. The next thing I want to say about that is that it's really important for us to keep our players and their NFTs safe. So we're being very intentional about who we work with on the back end side, which chains, when we think about custody, when we think about rails in and out, we're taking that very seriously. And we want to make sure our players are treated really well when they experience their first NFT ownership, because we want to broaden this to the masses where a lot of people can experience their first NFTs in a game. And we want to do that in a safe and secure and scalable way. So we're taking our partnerships and technology very seriously, and we'll announce more about which chains we're going to support and as we roll them out in the future. But right now, the primary focus is on making sure the gameplay and the game itself is really awesome.
Awesome answer. So what I'm gathering from that is that the future is multi-chain, which I'm glad, because most people see that too. So for those of you who are asking, hopefully you won't have to wait much longer. Steve in SD asks 3 questions. His first one is, what has been the biggest hurdle going from Web 2 to Web 3?
That's a really good question. So we've been developing, I guess what you would call Web 2 games for over a decade at Rumble. And I think the biggest difference has been adding the marketplace where players can trade their Titans. This creates a bunch of design areas that are kind of known to us, but also a lot of unknowns. So when we release it, we're going to be learning a lot. But the big thing is we need to balance letting players experience the game from a free-to-play perspective and ease them into the marketplace and trading so that it's not an overwhelming experience. We don't want to be one of those games where you have to spend thousands of dollars to play the game and then you can see whether you like the game or not. We want players to come in, fall in love with the game, and then find that the ownership of their assets, the ownership of their Titans, the trading of those is the icing on the top. And from a design perspective, we want to make sure players have enough Titans to play the game, because you need Titans to pass the levels, obviously, especially as they get challenging. So we want players to feel successful, but we also need to make sure there's a robust secondary marketplace for the really high quality, the awesome Titans that are unique. So that balancing of, we want players to enjoy the game and get enough Titans to ease into the blockchain elements, and then making sure that there is a robust marketplace for Titans is the biggest dance we're going to have to be sorting out over the next few years.
Definitely sounds like you know exactly what's happening in Web3, and it is a blessing to know that kind of like that a secondary marketplace is going to be a very important part of our success. There are a lot of companies out there, a lot of games out there where the secondary marketplace doesn't get as much shine, as much attention, so it definitely feels really great to know that that's something that we're keeping an eye on. His second question was, what is something that ended up a lot cooler than you thought it would?
Well, I think all the Titans are super cool. But I knew those would be cool. I think what was interesting to me is the first time we started minting the Titans on the blockchain, I thought it wouldn't really be a big deal to me personally. It was just in our development environment, and we switched over to the blockchain and minting, and it definitely changed the way I felt about when I pulled a Titan and was playing with a Titan in levels, like much more invested in them. They felt like part of my family in a way that is different than it felt previously in our games, because you feel like, I own these and this is something that's going to be with me for a very long time. So I think that was a surprise to me when we were testing the game.
Definitely. As a lifelong gamer, I have the same feeling where everything kind of feels a little intangible, but the Web3 aspect to this game specifically is just like, you're part of the team now forever, or at least until I want to trade you or upgrade you. Okay.
And he asked, who is the staff favorite Titan? So I know that we've been doing a lot of playtesting internally. Who do you think the favorite staff Titan?
There's a lot of opinions on that. Probably Doing It Big's probably in a better position than me to answer this one. I'd say from a staff perspective, Roland, at least for those of us that have been around Rumble for a long time, like Roland was one of the was the first concept piece for a hero that we did for the game that got us super excited about the look and feel and genre. And he's gone through a bunch of iterations, but Roland, the Blue Knight in the game, definitely he has a soft spot. I think the Magitech archers, so like Malison and Valamir, I love those guys. I just like ranged stuff. I always invest in ranged characters first. And then from a collector perspective, I mean, I wish I had 5 stars, honestly.
When we did the post on socials, I had you depicted as Roland on the graphic that we did for the AMAs, because I know that is he. Every time I think of Roland, I think of you for some reason. I think it's just like he like leads the Titans, and so it's like a very apt representation of you, I think. So
yeah, that's maybe overselling me a little bit.
True.
I do think I think my Slack image is still like the original early concept of Roland,
heavy set
like this
Roland.
gray and brown version of him that I thought was cool, and I just haven't changed that recently.
Maybe that's why the correlation's there.
Sure.
All right, so Elizabeth writes in and she says, so you've shown us a lot of Titans, but are we going to be able to summon towers too?
Interesting. Well, I guess we'll get that on the backlog. I think maybe not exactly towers. That's an interesting idea. We've been kicking around ways to tweak the PvP board by bringing other items into combat, like banners or other things that could tweak the gameplay towards you and potentially against your opponent that could be oriented as towers on the map. But that's something we're thinking about a lot right now, is how do we keep that longevity and fun to PvP by other things you can bring into the experience, or things that change the gameplay board to make the tug of war even more interesting. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely an original one. We have a user named Metka who has written in and is asking, will people from Ukraine eventually be able to play? Is that something that we know right now?
Absolutely. So, and as part of our parent company and working with Plarium, they have a lot of developers in Ukraine. So we've been really close with those teams, and our heart goes out to the folks that have to deal with what's going on over there. So absolutely, we'll make sure that the game's playable in Ukraine.
That's awesome. We have a lot of people who are in that region who are really looking forward to beta and launch. And though they know that we're doing it in phases and they may not be in the first region for testing, they are super excited to get on board. Several of them from our first iteration of testing too. So I'm sure they're super excited to hear that. We have a user named Chris who has written in. He has 3 questions. The first of which is, will guilds and other multiplayer, non-PvP, be a major part of the game or secondary to other things?
Well, I think though, we want to make social and guilds an important aspect of the game. I think it'll always be secondary to making sure the gameplay is fun. But we know, people love getting in guilds, and all of our games, our guilds have been super important, from King's Road to Alliance, where your guild kind of becomes your family. We had people in King's Road for like 10 years that were better friends with people in their guilds than they were in their friends in real life. So we find that to be really important to build into our games and make really compelling. But it certainly is secondary to make sure what you do with the guilds and the gameplay is really fun. We are looking at other potential modes, non-PvP multiplayer modes we've talked about. We have potentially doing co-op on our roadmap. And we definitely want to do a guild versus guild style gameplay. We're not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but something we did in Alliance, which was a guild versus guild competition, which was really fun, that a lot of other games built upon for their guild versus guild system. So there's a lot of potential there for having a lot of fun with a bigger group of people and working together towards goals. So we'll definitely be doing stuff with guilds, but I think, the raw gameplay fun of PvE, PvP is always going to be the number one priority.
I love that. That's a great answer. His second question is, what types of content will there be to play? Now, I'm not sure if he's asking about at beta or if he's asking about at release, but let's just assume that he's asking about during the beta testing period. What types of content will there be to play?
So right now there's the campaign. So working through a lot of, tower defense puzzles where you're meeting a lot of different enemies and have to overcome those challenges. So that's a PvE experience in the campaign. And then there's a PvE experience in the dungeons, which are more role specific, where you're collecting resources to skill up your Titans, and you have to face challenges that are specific to a given role, like the ranged attack dungeon, where you need to make sure you have great ranged Titans to overcome those challenges. And then of course you have PvP, which is a mode that we're super excited about. It's my favorite to play. I was playing this morning and got to play with a couple of new players in the game, and it's super fun. Where you get, it's a tug of war in terms of how quickly you're defeating enemies and being able to surge and push those over to the opponent's board. So that will be there. In addition, obviously all the Titan progression systems where you can level up, skill up, ascend, evolve your Titans to make them more powerful. And then we have a ton of quests in the game, which are really fun to try to complete. Regular, live ops events like summoning surge, gold events where you're trying to summon more to get extra rewards or spend gold to get extra rewards. And then a cool piece of content that one of our designers has been working on that it will come in the game is the Titan of the Day, which every day there's a specific quest line for one of the Titan families that you get to complete for extra rewards, which is really a fun way to explore trying out different Titans in different levels, and especially touching on some of the Titans that maybe you didn't think were cool when you first pulled them, but you can figure out why they're valuable by completing these quests, which is really fun. So that's kind of what's there to begin with. Obviously, there's some the meta stuff, like you can chat with other players, etc. And then in the future, we've really been talking about modes that we want to get into the game over the next few months, whether that be an endless mode, which we've had a lot of requests for, just to battle test how strong your entire Titan bench is, or like I mentioned, a guild versus guild mode down the road. And what we're thinking a lot about is how these modes can make you feel good when you have a lot of Titans and a lot of strong Titans, really show off the strength of your overall barracks. So that feels great. Like when you have like tons of awesome Titans, you want to be able to show off that depth, rather than right now in PvP, you can only bring so many Titans into the experience. And so you're capped on kind of like how powerful you can show you. And then I definitely want to get a lighter touch offline mode in, where you're gathering resources when you're not in the game, which is really nice. Being able to like send your Titans off for offline quests where they're getting stuff when you're not in the app, and then you can come back in and you can make progress really quickly and then get stronger for PvP. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about for other content and modes right now.
That's awesome. I really am excited about that. We have a lot of people who've been in community who are chomping at the bit to be able to try that PvP out, and very few videos out there and stuff like that of different types of gameplay. So I'm really excited for people to to see and what we've been working on, and to hear their feedback once they get into beta. Chris's last question is, do you have a favorite Titan from the ones available on release? So what is your favorite?
I would go with what we call the Magitech Archers, I think. Like I said, Malison and Valamir. I think that's the green and the purple. I love those. I also love Brunor as a defender. He's really awesome. The big guy. So probably my favorites. I mean, I have a soft spot personally for Silva, just because like we've been playing. When you play the game this much, you kind of just you use her so much. She's so valuable and has so much utility that you kind of forget how often like you use her, drag her out there, and she solves problems for you. So I don't know. I love her too. So
We have Cheems42 who wrote in asking, will free-to-play players be able to enjoy the game, or will they be stuck because they won't spend money? I think we've all had this happen in mobile games and games in our lives where we get super into a game and then all of a sudden we hit a brick wall, the paywall. So what are your feelings on that? And do you think that free-to-play players will be able to thrive in our game?
Absolutely. I think they'll be able to thrive. This is one of the reasons we're building the game the way we are, is because we were playing the blockchain games that were out there, and they want you to pay thousands of dollars just to get a ticket, get your hero or get your ticket to play the game. And that's kind of anathema to the way we've always thought about our games, where we want a lot of people to be able to experience and enjoy and play them. And then if they fall in love with it and over time they want to invest and spend money, that's great. But the important part is that people fall in love and play the game. So you'll definitely be able to play free to play. In testing, I often will play for weeks with free to play, and just to make sure that experience is fun. And all of us on the team do that to make sure that it's balanced for players that want to spend money and players that don't want to spend money. And I think both sides of that equation, we want to make sure that they have a lot of fun in the game.
I have a plan to live stream when I'm playing so that people can see exactly how far we can get on free to play. So hopefully Cheems42 is going to keep in on some of those live streams that we do, so you can kind of see what the experience is like for free to play, and see exactly how far you can go and how successful you could be.
We'll also watch that too, and we'll make adjustments if that's problematic for anybody they feel like they're getting gated in terrible ways.
Very exciting, and super excited to actually get to dive in. I've really tried hard not to go too hard into the play testing since I've been working here, so that I can have that first experience. I really do hope that everyone does tune in. But we have a member called Alpha Calls X7, and they are asking, are there any game mechanics in play for users who have horrible luck? If not, are there plans to be? I'm asking because I always have horrible luck with drawings in games.
Yeah, you and me both. So I think you should get plenty of chances to pull Titans in the game. So if your luck is bad one day, hopefully it turns the next day. Other things we've talked about are hero crafting down the road, where you can build a specific hero that you want. We've done that in some of our other games as well. But I think we just want to make sure there's plenty of opportunities for players to pull Titans and have fun with that experience, and eventually get the one that they want or the one that they need to overcome challenges.
We got to have something to chase, something to have fun with.
That's another interesting thing, is adding the marketplace also allows another outlet for people to, if they don't have the Titan they want, potentially they could go in and trade for the one that they want. That opens up interesting avenues for collectors to get specific Titans that they maybe didn't get via luck.
That's right. Who needs luck when you've got good bartering skills?
Fair enough.
All right, let's see. X wrote in and said, I see closed beta in Discord. Are there any plans for an open beta at some point?
Yeah, we'll phase the release of the game when we feel comfortable about more people coming in, more territories getting in. I think this is the important part of the life cycle, though, where we can get a community that really cares about the game, invested in the game, and it's not so big that we can listen to people's individual feedback and take that feedback and actually make meaningful changes to the game to make it better. So we want to be thoughtful about how quickly we move to open up the game. So we'll open it up as we feel like we need to get more people touching the game and giving us feedback. But I think this is a really exciting time for the people to be part of the community, because their voices will be heard much louder when we're in this closed beta phase, and we can really respond and make the game better based on how these early community members see it and what they want to see in the game in the future.
Yeah, it's super important to press on our community members to, everyone who's in this Web3 space, everyone who's into gaming We're all in such a rush. We're, oh my God, when is this happening? When is this happening? When is this happening? But be aware if you're a community member and you're wondering when. The answer is when the timing is right. So that's something that definitely take away from this. We have user 9035768, and he asks, or she asks, I am not interested in NFT. Do I have to do with the NFT stuff, or can I just play the game?
Yeah, there's no gates to having to participate in the marketplace or otherwise to have a great time playing the game. And then maybe down the road, you want to dabble and experience that part of the game. And that's great that it's there, and an opportunity to, own and trade your Titans. So, we want to make sure this is a easy, non-scary experience for players that have never gotten involved with blockchain or NFT stuff in the past, that it feels kind of like a natural evolution of, God, I love this game. I love the community, and I want to be part of more. And that's where the NFT and marketplace stuff can come into play.
So it's not just a game, it's a gentle learning experience too.
Yeah. Well, I think, I think there is a lot of games out there that I've played. A lot of blockchain games that are super kind of scary onboarding, where you have to have different technologies. You feel like you have to get an engineering degree to play the game, and we want a lot of people to play our games and enjoy the combat and the social experience and the PvP, and not be scared of what might happen if I push the wrong button. So that's why we're being very thoughtful about how we integrate the blockchain experience and the ownership experience in the marketplace into the game.
Heck yeah, no saliva sample necessary for you to create an account with us. You're just going to get in there and play and learn on the way. Let's see. So we have user Kev who wrote in. They say, hey, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Can you tell me about your plans for scarcity for the rarer Titans?
That's a good question. So there's a few things with scarcity in the game for Titans. So when you get a Titan, each one has unique personality style, like how they play. Some are more crit heavy, more mana generation heavy versus other versions of that Titan. They also have different traits of different rarities that creates that scarcity for Titans of the certain play style that you want. So if you're somebody that's looking to deal a ton of damage, you're going to want certain personality traits. And so that creates kind of the uniqueness and scarcity for each Titan in and of itself. And then beyond that, what we will do is we're going to have seasons run in the game where we'll have limited runs of, specific Titans that are available during that season. So kind of akin to, a Pokemon pack that is available for X time. And then when that season's over, there was a limited run of those, so that, the secondary marketplace is robust. In the future, they may come back for other seasons, but that's a way we think is important for us to create that scarcity for the secondary marketplace.
They follow up with a question, will there be any low count characters that we can hold? So I think this is somebody who's coming in looking to have some diamond hands. What do you say to them?
Yeah, there's going to be very rare Titans that only a few people get through luck. So yeah, there will be very rare Titans, especially those ones. I think, this is what all of us are searching for, is that Titan that we love with the right personality and the right traits that we think in the long run of the game, that's going to be the most valuable version of that Titan. So I think there's a really cool kind of meta game of searching for the specific build of the Titan that works with your play style and may work with others as well, that makes it extremely valuable.
Yeah, on a previous AMA, we talked about that there are hundreds of Titans. I mean, obviously not at release and not during the beta, but in the works, there are hundreds that are being worked on and planned through. And, so that kind of system is really meticulous. I'm really, really, really excited to find the one that I am in love with. I think I may possibly already be in love with Scarlet, but we'll see how she plays out.
Yeah, she's awesome. She drops bombs. So
Sold. Sarah22 wrote in and asked, what is your favorite part of your job?
oof. The favorite part of my job, well, at a high level, making things is extremely fun and addictive. So my favorite part of the job generally is you have a bunch of people staring at a blank piece of paper, and then after a long period of time, like, you have a game that people love, and just being able to do that is it's kind of an honor, and to be able to do it with people you like is doubly so. So, I think everybody experiences that type of thing in their life when they do something new. You know, you want to start a new project, or you're trying to do something hard, or you have a New Year's resolution you're trying to accomplish, and you're kind of starting from nowhere. But it's kind of it's scary in games. This can be scary. Like, you're staring at a blank piece of paper, and you need to build something. And I think it's super fun to be able to do that with people you like, so that people you trust, so that you're going to be able to turn this blank piece of paper into something really awesome. So, and we get to do that in games. And so that just makes it triply enjoyable. So
your favorite part of your job is the fact that you get to do it every day.
Yeah, I mean, we get to make stuff. It's kind of pretty lucky to be able to do this job.
Very, very, very lucky. TH Founder writes in, I think that name's a little telling. Hi, I was in the first beta for Tower Heroes before it was Towers and Titans. I know the Discord mod said that we will get Founders packs for being testers. Will we get those for beta, or will we get those when the game is officially launched?
So this is a question for you then.
It is, isn't
I'm just
it?
kidding. I'm just kidding. We'll get back to you on specific timings of those rewards.
Apparently, I'm a Discord mod. We're gonna have to change my title now.
I will.
Don't do it.
I will say, the people that played the original Tower Heroes, awesome. Love seeing that they are here and they've been on this journey with us. That's incredibly awesome. So we want to make sure they feel good about sticking around and continuing to play the game.
I agree wholeheartedly. Those are our biggest fans. They've seen us through many phases and iterations, and they're still here and passionate. So I love our founders, and super excited to get their feedback as we go through beta. We have user Ismodius83, who messaged and said, will we have contests to design heroes? I hope. I haven't seen any heroes with pets yet.
So this is kind of leading to the answer that they have a design for a hero with a pet. So
I guess
happy to see that. We should have designs for contests for heroes. If we haven't, we will.
Yeah, we haven't yet.
Yeah, we definitely will. We did a lot of that in our last game alliance. The community was really integral in helping us decide like what their favorite heroes were and what heroes we should do next. So we'll definitely do that. As for the pets question, I know somebody brought that up in a design meeting yesterday. Pets. So I love pets.
Me too. I think they're great.
We put pets into King's Road, our action RPG, and that was super cool. Little dragon pets that would follow around with your heroes, and you could level up and progress those dragon pets. That was super cool. So I think I can imagine that happening in the future.
Wonderful. That is great news. User Jesse7 wrote in and said, I haven't seen a lot of marketing for Towers and Titans. Is that something that's going to happen in the future?
Absolutely. Kind of plays back into what I was saying before about kind of a gradual building of the community and making sure we have a strong, stable, foundational community to start. And also making sure the gameplay is solid before we start screaming about the game. And I think the key now is getting people in the game that want to be part of building the community and the game with us. But definitely we'll start to see more marketing happening over the next months as we move towards open launch of the game. So more to come there for sure.
I'm glad we are on a quality over quantity route because I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's not just creating memories in the game, but creating friendships that will last you, which is very important. User Godlike wrote in and said, will usernames be unique?
So there can be duplicate of names, but each player has a unique suffix code to their names. It's pretty standard in a lot of other game platforms and games. So that is the direction we've gone with thus far.
I dig it. If I see anyone else named Vanilla, though, we're going to fight in the street. So just know that we'll be dueling other vanillas
it
out
depends.
there. If I see you.
You could take it to a PvP battle. See,
we're going to have to.
That out. Yeah.
We'll see who the ultimate vanilla is on that day. Second question from Godlike: will we have crossplay across devices? I'm assuming it's for their own accounts. So will you be able to have access to Android and iOS?
Yes. So if you create an account, which is the important part, if you create an account, you will be able to play on Android, iOS, and desktop in the long run. We're starting with this closed beta on Android to start, but desktop and iOS are at parity from a gameplay perspective, and we'll be opening those up for cross-platform play over the coming months. So super excited about that.
That's huge. I know a lot of games out there, huge, big titles that do not have crossplay. So that is awesome. So glad to hear that because there are a lot of people who were concerned, like my girlfriend has iOS, I want to be able to play with her. So that's great news. Third question from Godlike is, will my friend on Android be able to PvP with me on iOS?
If you create an account, you'll be able to do that. And also the PvP pool is across all the platforms. They're all shared in the pool. So yes, you'll run into people that are playing on different platforms and should play fine.
So see, the endless war of is Android or Apple better will actually be able to come to fruition here because Android players can fight iOS players. You guys heard it here first. Super exciting stuff. User Sigmar wrote in and said, is there any feature or event coming up that you are excited about that you can share with us?
Well, I'm super excited about getting equipment NFTs in the game. So I think that's going to be huge. It adds a massive layer of collection and getting to optimize your builds when you can collect equipment and then being able to own that and trade it. It's going to be super awesome. So I think that's probably the most exciting thing I can think of that's upcoming.
That is huge and very exciting, and I am looking forward to hearing more about that at later dates. We have user Crypto Keeper who has 2 questions for you. Number 1, will Rumble be attending any Web3 gaming conventions in the future?
Yeah, if there's great ones out there where we can talk about Towers and Titans to gamers, definitely. I think also regular gaming conventions are interesting for us because we really think about the gameplay first. And like we said before, the blockchain and ownership aspects of the game we think are super cool and additive to the experience. So I think we can bridge into both of those worlds, and we want to make sure that the normal gaming audience feels good about getting involved with a game like this. So yeah, we'll be at conventions as we start to do the marketing for the game.
Super exciting. I'll look forward to that for sure. Let's see. Next question is going to be from the same person, Crypto Keeper. They say, have you given any thought to Towers and Titans being an esports?
I have. It was probably a fever dream, though. If anybody is excited about starting a team, absolutely. No, I honestly think the game is really fun. The PvP aspect of the game is super fun to watch. We do playtests all the time where I have as much fun watching a close battle as I have playing a battle. But I'm a pretty competitive person, and PvP is definitely my favorite part of the game. So I hope people want to stream battles and compete with each other in that way. And we definitely want to do tournaments and things especially when you get guilds in the game where they want to compete with each other. And if we can be supportive of any community members that want to get involved with that type of thing, whether it be esports or different competition styles that they want to host, we'd love to talk to people about that and how we can support it.
That is awesome. I know I personally have watched many of our internal playtests, and I am not as good as everybody else there. So I am definitely going to be the humanizer when it comes to streaming. But I have a really good time watching you guys fight each other and the smack talk, and it is literally such an enjoyable experience. I really hope that we do end up exploring the esports realm, because I have a lot of fun watching. And honestly, I am not the kind of person who normally likes PvP, but PvP in this game is so different. It's so skill-based and so technical, that it's really enjoyable, even if you are one of those people who is self-proclaimed horrible at PvP. So hopefully in the future we have something
I think
like that.
it's a lighter way to play PvP because you're dealing with enemies that are coming at you, and you're not directly like fighting someone else. So I think it's a nice way to bridge between the PvE experience and a player versus player experience where it's not as hardcore or twitchy. So I think it's a good opportunity for people to try out PvP, even though that if they think they're not a quote unquote PvP person.
I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. When I first started here and I heard that PvP was such a big part, I was a little intimidated until I got into it, and it's just so much fun. I really can't wait for everyone to experience it when beta opens up. You guys are going to have an absolute blast. The very last question that we have is from user My Bag is Bigger Than Yours, and they ask, are there any details that you can give us on the first mint? And I'm assuming they mean the first pre-sale.
Yeah. So I think what we're focused on now is really this closed beta testing, and then the big next step for us is to get the web site up with the marketplace, and then we'll have sales there to push on those first really rare scarce season titans, and that should be up in the the late spring. We should be ready to do the marketplace trading and that first big sale. And but I encourage people now to get in the closed beta, get some titans and experience those, and give us as much feedback as possible on the gameplay, what titans they like, what titans they don't like, how we can improve the game to make it great for everybody.
Yeah, I definitely want to cover for the people who are in community who are listening. There will be several surveys set out to give your feedback. So you don't have to worry about flooding the Discord with like comments and stuff like that. That's super hard to keep track of. We're going to be sending out really organized questionnaires for you guys at different phases throughout the beta so that we can make sure that we're getting all of this feedback. So if you are somebody who is going to be testing in the most upcoming phase of beta, keep those notes somewhere. Keep them, open up a notepad in your computer and just jot stuff down that sticks up to you. And be sure that gets inside the feedback survey so that they can get to the rest of the company and the people who can actually make the changes inside the company as well. It's kind of hard to field all of that stuff when it's all over the Discord. We do, of course, want to talk about it, but when it comes to feedback and critiques about the game, if it's all in one place, it's going to definitely go a lot farther by way of getting to where it's supposed to get to. We have about 10 minutes left, and we are through our question list, so super good on us. If anyone from the community wants to ask questions, you can either ask in the AMA chat, which is in this room that we are currently in, or you can go to the AMA questions, which is in the social tavern directly under welcome, and I would be happy to ask questions for you. We probably don't have time for a whole lot, but if you have any that are pressing, now would be the time to ask while we have our CEO captive audience here. I see a couple people have been asking questions, but Ferox has been so effective at answering questions that he's pretty much got them all covered.
He is good.
He is really good.
Well, we can always do another one of these down the road. Happy to get back on and answer any more questions that come up.
Definitely. It was awesome to have you. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to make sure that you had some time to spend with us before the beta launches. I know that everyone in the community really, really appreciates it. And it's so rare to see someone who's so approachable to come in and just share their passion with us. So thank you for that. And I hope that everyone got their questions answered. We hopefully will have another one of these soon. I know we've got some DAOs that we're going to be working with. No promises that we'll actually get the CEO to make an appearance as he has a very busy schedule. But we definitely will have great representation across any of the AMAs that we do. Please give your feedback in Discord if you have anything that you want to share. Is there any wisdom that you would like to leave us with before we sign off for the evening?
Just get in, enjoy the game, and give us as much feedback as possible. And 5-star ratings on Google Play are helpful as well. So thank you.
I love it. You guys heard it here first. Please let us know things that you like, that you don't like, and tune in this week. We're going to be having a lot of events that are going to be happening in community. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, coming to listen. And I hope that you guys have an absolutely wonderful night. We'll catch you guys at beta.
Thank you.